Every year, a bunch of games come out. Many are mediocre and forgettable, some are actually pretty good, and others are legendary games that will be remembered and played for all time. This year certainly had a mixture of great and not so great games. But today, I want to talk about what I think the top 10 best games of 2020 were. Hello, my name is Nidstang, one of the two, and I guess for right now, primary guys here who are making videos for Under the Bun. But before I get into what the top 10 games I thought were best this year, I want to lay out some of my criteria. So of course, I can only talk about games that I have played. I don't have time to play every single game that has come out this year. I don't have the money to pay for every game that has come out this year. So if your favorite game isn't on the list, there's a chance I did not get around to playing it. There's also a chance I thought it sucked. Some of the games that I wanted to play this year but did not have the chance to get around to were Panzer Paladin, Ghost Runner, No Straight Roads, and Pigsaw, amongst many others. Additionally, I only include games that have come out this year, nothing that came out late last year. That means games that came out late this year are eligible, so Cyberpunk would be eligible. But I also only include games that have had final releases this year, so nothing early access and no demos. So this means I won't be including the Haunted PS1 demo disc, as that is just a collection of demos, and also games like Ultra Kill, Proteus, and the Faith Trilogy will not be included, as these games are technically in early access. I will include those games down the line on the year that they're actually released. I also do not include new ports, remasters, or remakes, or anything like that. I don't think it's fair to give these games awards, as they are technically older games that were released years ago. So no Battle for Bikini Bottom, no Destroy All Humans, no Mario 3D All-Stars. I'm also a little undecided on whether I'm going to include requels or reimaginings in the future, but for this year, I'm not. So no Resident Evil 3, no Final Fantasy 7. If you weren't a fan of the corporate shilling of the actual VGAs, hopefully this appeals more to you, and hopefully you find some new games that you haven't heard of before. Alright, so now that my criteria is out of the way, let's get to it. Here are the actual top 10 best games of 2020. At number 10, we have Animal Crossing New Horizons. This was the first Animal Crossing game that I have ever played. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. It released at the perfect time, as we were entering a lockdown for the COVID pandemic, so I had time to play this as I was home from work. And it's really addicting, doing various little tasks around your island, catching critters, planting plants, chopping trees, fixing your home all nice, and of course, interacting with your amazing neighbors. These animals all have so much personality, and it just makes meeting new characters fun. Of all the NPCs that visited my island, Gulliver was my favorite. He's just so goofy. I loved his sea puns and aloof attitude. I wish I could have him move to my island permanently. The only reason I won't place this game higher is because after a while the game does begin to feel like a chore, waking up every day and doing the same tasks over and over with slow progression. I get that this game is meant to be played through an entire year to fully experience everything, and that progress is tied to that year, but after a while I just kind of put it down and never came back to it. Still, for the first couple of months of playing, it was fun and addicting, and really surpassed my expectations. Plus, it gave me a way to have online dates with my girlfriend while we were both stuck at home during the quarantine. So definitely worth my time, even if I stopped playing it after a little while. At number 9, we have The Citadel. The Citadel is a game I've talked about a couple of times now, even doing a full review back when it came out. The Citadel is a really fun, old-school style first-person shooter with a cyberpunk anime aesthetic. It's hyper-violent, gory, and fast-paced, taking inspiration from games like Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Brutal Doom, and Marathon, with some modern gameplay elements like reloading and weapon breaking. All of the enemies in this game are anime girls with various different armors, weapons, and cybernetic enhancements. The Citadel is a lot of fun. Gunplay feels great, and the level design is really open-ended, giving you various different ways to go through levels to complement your playstyle. You can play more strategically, or you can run in guns blazing, and both options are viable. Graphically, the game is impressive, featuring hand-drawn sprites in the mentioned anime aesthetic. The only downside to this game is that the environments are all pretty similar. They're all these same bluish-gray metallic walls. Also, the reloading mechanic takes a little while to get used to. The game does struggle from a bit of lack of identity a little bit. The need to reload kind of makes some combat frustrating because it's trying to be an old-school shooter, but reload kind of gets in the way of that feel. But you get to pilot a mech, which makes it all better. Just like grapple hooks, adding a mech to any game makes it better. The Citadel is one of the most underrated games of the year, featuring a very fun and violent experience with a unique art style. Definitely worth your time if you're into more retro-style shooters. Post Void is another game that I already made a full review of. Post Void is a fast-paced FPS roguelike where you have to quickly shoot your way through 11 floors. Each floor, enemies are tougher and faster, and you constantly lose health as you make your way from start to finish. At the end of each floor, you can select a different weapon upgrade to help you fight on. These upgrades include things like different weapons, faster reload speed, more health, and explosive bullets. This game is really simple, but so addicting. It's very easy to just get lost in this game, trying run after run after run. It never really gets old or frustrating despite its difficulty and repetitive nature. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of what I love about Hotline Miami. This game is visually stunning as well, with abstract pixel art graphics and bright flashing lights that give off a psychedelic vibe. Post Void is one of the more unique FPS games I played this year, and I really recommend playing it for yourself. So I'm not really a rhythm game fan. I have played maybe 5 or 6 rhythm games in my entire life, and I'm not good at them, which is kind of weird considering I'm a musician in a band and work in the music industry, but I am a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. It's one of my most favorite game series of all time, and I even really liked Kingdom Hearts 3. So yeah, I decided to try Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. I wasn't expecting much, kind of a weird spin-off game, but this game is really fun. Basically, the game is broken down into 3 different modes: combat, cinematic, and boss. Each of these modes have a different variation of the core gameplay mechanic of pressing or holding buttons in rhythm to various scores from the Kingdom Hearts games. The game does take some practice though. It's not easy, at least on Proud mode. That is one complaint I have with the game. Easy and normal modes are too easy, but hard mode is so hard at times. Especially boss battles or songs that are a little less rhythmic. Sometimes the button presses will switch from like rhythms to melodies too, so it requires some practice. And while not the most story-focused game ever, Melody of Memory is, of course, canon to the Kingdom Hearts story, telling the story of Kairi as she trains as a Keyblade warrior and recaps Sora, Riku's, Roxas, and Ventus's and friends' journey through the 9 games. You could play as 4 different teams: Sora, Donald and Goofy, Roxas, Axel and Xion, Riku and 2 Dream Eaters, and Aqua, Ventus, and Terra. Each plays the same, but offers some cosmetic differences and visual differences. But you can play as any team with any song once they are unlocked. The music in Kingdom Hearts is so good, and this game features some of the best music in the series, as well as some songs from various Disney movies, including songs like A Whole New World, which weren't in any of the games. And once you get your groove, this game is just so fun. Fighting Heartless and Nobodies to some great songs while running through some fan-favorite levels. It can get really intense, and killing huge strings of enemies while racking up your combos is so satisfying. Despite the challenge and some awkward game mechanics and the lack of a Tarzan world, Melody of Memory is a fun and addicting spin-off to one of the best series in gaming. and it serves as a good recap to the much bigger story elements of the other games. And it's just a great celebration of the amazing music from Kingdom Hearts. At number 6 is Carrion, a reverse horror game where you play as an amorphous monster and terrorize an underground military base. Equipped with various skills and abilities, you rip scientists and soldiers apart in graphic fashion while escaping the lab, upgrading yourself as you go. This game is really unique. It's kind of like a Metroidvania, but less emphasis on platforming and backtracking with exception of a couple upgrades. You have to be smart about how you play. Despite the monster's grotesque appearance, it's actually pretty weak and fragile, and going head first into combat will get you killed. It's better to sneak around, picking enemies off one at a time, using different skills like mind control to clear a room safely. Graphically, this game is great too, featuring really colorful and detailed sprite work and visceral gore that just makes the game a joy to look at and play. You can get a little lost working your way around the facility, which brings the pacing down a little bit, but Carrion is still an amazing, creative, and fun game, and one of the more unique games that I've played recently. Alright, we made it to the top 5, and these are the definite best games of the year. Starting the top 5 off is Pumpkin Jack. Pumpkin Jack is an old-school PS2-style action platforming game inspired by games like Medieval and Jak and Daxter. It features colorful and fun stylized cartoony graphics in a Burton-esque atmosphere, and most impressive of all, this game was made by only one person. Pumpkin Jack sees you taking control of Jack, a cunning villain who was summoned by the devil himself to kill a human wizard. One of the great things about Pumpkin Jack is that you play as the villain, but it doesn't go overboard being all dark and grim and broody. Jack is still a light-hearted and funny character despite being a villain. What Pumpkin Jack lacks in technical combat, it makes up for in fun level design, enjoyable characters, and whimsical charm. The graphics look great, the music is amazing, and the gameplay itself is simple yet a blast to play. This game is a definite highlight for my year, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for Jack because I would really love to see more. The fourth best game of 2020 is Shantae and the Seven Sirens. I love the Shantae games, they are all great in different ways, and this one is no exception. Shantae and the Seven Sirens returns the series to its Metroidvania roots while keeping the hand-drawn graphics from Half Genie Hero. This outing sees Shantae attending the Half Genie Festival when her fellow Half Genies are captured. It's up to Shantae to save them, facing off against powerful sirens and once again foiling Risky Boots' plans. Seven Sirens has everything the series is known for. Fun, engaging gameplay, great music, pleasing art direction, witty humor, and of course that sweet, sweet fan service. I like that the series returned to its Metroidvania roots too. Not that I disliked Half Genie Hero, but I just think this style fits the Shantae games better. I liked the inclusion of the new fusion dances, which added some exploration incentive, though finding all the gold nuggets at the end of the game is extremely tedious and annoying. Another downside to this game is that it's way too easy. Difficulty is an issue with all the Shantae games, they're all really easy. This one is harder than Half Genie Hero, but it's still too easy. Despite the easy difficulty, Shantae and the Seven Sirens provides an incredibly fun experience that is a worthy addition to the Shantae franchise. The third best game of the year is Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Sackboy is a spin-off of the Little Big Planet series, which are some of my favorite games on the PlayStation. Sackboy sees the transition from a 2D side-scroller to a 3D platformer, very similar to that of Super Mario 3D World. Actually, the comparison to Mario is fairly apt, as I truly think that the Mario games are some of the most fun and creative games in all of gaming, and Sackboy is right there with it, providing one of the most creative platforming experiences since Super Mario 3D World or Super Mario Odyssey. As a platforming game, Sackboy succeeds in every way. It controls really well. I never really struggled with any of the mechanics. It's graphically detailed and looks really good. I played the PS4 version, so I can only imagine that the PS5 version would look even better. And like I already mentioned, the level design is super creative. I especially liked these levels that are kind of synced up with different songs. They give off kind of a rhythm game feel as enemies and platforms are synced to the beat of the song. Speaking of music, the soundtrack is really good too, even including music from Dance with the Dead. The only negative I have about this game is that there's no creation mode like the other Little Big Planet games, but since this is a spin-off and not Little Big Planet 4, I'm willing to forgive it as long as a Little Big Planet 4 does come out with a proper creation tool sometime down the line. Another great thing about Sackboy is that you can play with friends too, both online and couch co-op. It's great to see a good game come out that has 4-player couch co-op these days. It's pretty rare. Anyways, if you're a fan of platformers, Sackboy is a must-play.
Beginning Pretty Pig roll call.
Alright, so this entry is kind of cheating. I'm including 3 games as my number 2, and these 3 games are technically collections of other games. Of course, I'm talking about the Dread X collections. 3 Dread X collections were released this year, and all 3 were amazing. I've been kind of disinterested in indie horror games for a while. I got kind of burnt out by all these bad indie Unity asset flip games from like 2012 and 2013, but man, the Dread X collections, the Dread XP community, and the Haunted PS1 community have really got me back into indie horror games. The Dread X collections really were a collection of some of the most unique and creative, not to mention scary horror games that I have played in a very long time. Each Dread X collection has a different theme and a little bit different of a vibe. The first game's theme was Playable Teaser. Essentially, all these games were proof of concepts, more abstract short games with unique premises. The first game had a basic menu, which was used to select which games you want to play. Of these 3, I think the first Dread X collection was actually the scariest. One of the games, Summer Night, is honestly one of the scariest and memorable experiences that I have ever had playing a horror game. The second collection's theme was Lovecrafting. All of these games had to do with Lovecraft-inspired stories of ancient monsters and horrific worlds. The collection gave a wide variety of different titles, ranging from first-person shooters to atmospheric horror games to even romance visual novels. This game also introduced the interactive hub world, which is now going to be a staple of the Dread X series. This hub world was a really fun and engaging way to unlock various games, presenting different kinds of horror-themed puzzles to solve. Dread X Collection 3's theme was Spoopy, or Cute and Spooky. Again, this collection of games was great. Of all 3, I thought the third Dread X collection had the best overall presentation, with this large castle to explore and charming graphics and an entertaining story connecting everything together. If you want to see any of the games in more detail, check out my overviews of the game from October. I talk about every game included. If you're into indie horror at all, you need to be playing the Dread X games and the Haunted PS1 games. The future of horror is low poly. Oh Lord. The hell are you? Oh God. That's creepy as shit. I don't like that noise, and oh no, game over. Ooh! Ooh! That actually got me some goosebumps there. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Number 1, the best game of 2020. You already know what it's going to be. I don't even need to say it. That's right. Cockhead. This Cuphead-like game sees you playing as an anthropomorphic penis, jumping and shooting your way through intensive boss fights. Wait. No, it's not Cockhead, huh? I'm kidding. Actually, it's Mr. Krabs overdoses on ketamine. In this GTA-like game, you take control of Mr. Krabs on the unyielding quest for drugs. This is the SpongeBob game that we always needed.
Please, Mr. Krabs, I need you to get my ketamine. It's in the town over there. Please, Mr. Krabs, I'm fiending.
Alright. I'm joking again. It's actually The Last of Us 2. The sequel to the most overrated game of all time just got overrateder. Featuring the most divisive story in recent years and directed by the most pretentious guy in all of the gaming industry, The Last of Us 2 is the game that fans of cinematic movie games wanted and deserved, and oh, fuck it, I'm still joking. It's Doom Eternal. Come on, did you really think it was going to be anything else? I made like 10 videos related to this game this year. I haven't shut up about it on social media since it came out. I spent the most time playing this game than any other game this year. It's a fucking masterpiece. Shooting is the tightest of any shooter I have ever played. Every gun has its use, and you quickly learn you need to master weapon swapping between all of them in order to be an effective killing machine. Graphically, the game is amazing, with detailed enemy and environments, adding some much needed and appreciated color from its 2016 counterpart. Glory kills are just as flashy and satisfying as ever, and resource management is at Doom's all-time highest, as you actively balance armor, health, ammo, and tools like Blood Punch and Flame Belch. It's a thinking man's first-person shooter. If you play Doom Eternal like any other shooter, fail to prioritize targets, forget about enemy weak points, fail to manage your resources, don't adapt to quick swapping and utilizing your entire arsenal, you will die. A lot. No sticking to the super shotgun the entire game this time around. And I love it for it. It pushes you to think ahead and quickly react to everything going on around you. And it just gets so chaotic at times. And they added to the experience with an amazing DLC campaign too, with another DLC campaign coming next year. The soundtrack and sound design are all amazing as well, featuring some amazing groovy industrial metal tracks and great demon and gun sounds. Even the multiplayer is good. Yeah, battle mode is different, but I liked it more than the loadout-centric multiplayer of Doom 2016. Doom Eternal made me better at other games, especially first-person shooters too. I can feel myself actively thinking faster, managing my resources better, and tracking enemies more effectively. As I've already mentioned, Doom Eternal has quickly become one of my all-time favorite games, even beating Doom 2 out as my favorite all-time Doom game. I can go on all day talking about how much I love this game. The Game Awards snubbed it. It deserved better, but you know what? Fuck the Game Awards, fuck Golden Joysticks, fuck IGN's Game of the Year. It doesn't matter that Doom Eternal didn't win some awards, because the real reward was getting to play this amazing game. And no official award or lack thereof will change how I feel about this game, how it made me think, and how it makes me view other games now. If you have played this game, you probably already know how good this game is. If you haven't, you owe it to yourself to play this game. The team over at id Software have really gone above and beyond. Doom Eternal is as close to perfect as you can get, with amazing combat mechanics, well-designed levels, enemies that actually require strategy to defeat, and a skill ceiling that will leave you playing the game over and over as you can feel yourself getting better. It's addicting, it's a work of art, it's just eternal. Seriously, I know I'm gushing and fanboying a little, but fuck, this game is amazing. I don't know what else to say. If you want in-depth analysis, overviews, and reviews, watch any of my other Doom videos from this year. Other than that, just play this game. Rip and fucking tear. That's it for the top 10 games of 2020. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's pretty long, but thanks for sticking through it. I hope you found some new games to check out, as these were all really good. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you liked what you saw, and I will see you all next year. Bye.